Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where my guest is Ben Clapper. He's the Louisiana Right to Life Executive Director. There's an amendment, Love Life Amendment. Vote yes 11-3, and you will be protecting the mother and the babies from abortion. Join us on the next Legal Lines with Ben Clapper. Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. Open the phone book or look online. There are plenty of lawyers to choose from. And if you ask any of them, they'll agree that the vast majority of claims settle without ever having gone to trial. And I'll tell you, any lawyer can settle a claim. It's not hard to settle a claim, but it takes hard work to get a client what he or she deserves. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, we have a proven record of working hard for our clients. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and we have on our show today as a return guest, Ben Clapper. He is the Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life. Ben, phantom fist bump.
That's right. Great to be with you, Locke.
Pleasure to have you back. I know it's a big time, big amendment coming up for election on November 3rd, but early voting is going on right now.
That's right.
And this is a time for you to explain, folks, what this amendment is all about. So tell me what the name of the amendment is.
Yeah, this is Amendment 1. We call it the Love Life Amendment. It's going to be on every ballot in Louisiana, so your early vote and voting on November 3rd. We're going to encourage you to vote yes on Amendment 1.
Okay, it's an amendment to the state constitution.
That's right. There's going to be seven. There's going to be 7 on the ballot when you go to vote. So after you get the president, Senate, Congress, all the way down at the bottom, there's going to be these 7 amendments. And of the 7, we're the first one. It's going to be an amendment to the Louisiana Constitution.
Good place to be.
That's
first.
right. That's right.
Excellent.
Number 1.
So it's Love Life.
Right.
And why is that the title of this?
Yeah, we wanted, this was really, it started after New York in 2019 legalized abortion up until birth. They lit the Empire State Building pink with their support of abortion. And we said, how's Louisiana going to respond to this? We wanted to show our love for life, for moms, for babies, for all life, and we want to do that, and so that's what we came up with this constitutional amendment to show our love for life, almost like a statement that our state is not going to allow abortion into our state's constitution. And by doing that, ensure that judges can never force a right to abortion or the taxpayer dollars to go to abortion in our state.
So let's dive into this a little deeper. So bottom line is, you said it, that there are some states that are, and I've heard the governor of Virginia speak the words that, he's apparently okay if a child is born and he looks to the folks and says, or the mom, up or down, kind of like a Rome, Caesar, and would kill a live human being right after they've been born. And of course, like you said, New York and other states, it's not just New York, is it, that has passed legislation that has put in either their constitution or made state law this absolute right to abortion.
That's right. And even in addition to New York kind of inspiring us to do this was the state of Kansas, of all places, like, Dorothy, right? Wizard of Oz, the heartland of America. Well, the Kansas Supreme Court, April 19th of 2019, their state Supreme Court decided that in Kansas's constitution, there's a right to abortion in the Kansas Constitution. Now, I'm sure you've read the Kansas Constitution, right?
Not that one, I'm sorry.
No. The word abortion, you can't find it. It's not there, right?
Of course not.
But they decided that there's
just
a right.
Just like it's not in our United States Constitution.
Absolutely. So basically the same thing that happened in 1973 with Roe v. Wade happened in April 19th in 2019 in Kansas. They decided that there's a right to abortion in the state of Kansas. It doesn't matter what the people think. It doesn't matter what the legislators think. The only way they could change that if they're doing what we're doing right now, which is pass a constitutional amendment.
This is very poignant and timely. I mean, I just did 2 shows with our Congressman Garrett Graves, and one of the topics we discussed was judicial activism.
Yep.
And the bottom line is, it appears over the last 30, 40, 50 years that power that, according to the Constitution, belongs to the people or the state has been usurped. And the federal judiciary, the United States Supreme Court, will tell 330 million Americans what they can and cannot do if they decide to speak, regardless of whether the Constitution, which is supposed to limit what they say, has it or not.
That's right.
So this is your reaction. This is Louisiana's reaction and I guess our legislature, explain the process of how we now have the chance to vote for an amendment that says, sorry, not going to happen here at courts.
Right.
You can't tell us we're going to have abortion. If we the people don't want abortion,
right,
we're not going to have it.
Yeah, and it takes to get it on the ballot, you got to pass it through both chambers of the legislature by 2/3 margin.
2/3?
2/3. So that's a
not
big
majority
lift.
vote.
That's right. So it's going to take a bipartisan majority, and that's what we did, and that's one of the best parts of Louisiana.
And bipartisan means both parties, Republican,
Absolutely.
Democrats,
Absolutely.
and independents, and whoever else.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to put it on the ballot in Louisiana, there's got to be a lot of agreement in the legislature. That's what happened with the Louisiana legislature. It's a pro-life legislature. Our law that put this in the ballot was led by a Democrat and a Republican. Our Democrat
both
governor,
women, as I recall.
That's right, Katrina Jackson and Beth Mizell. So Louisiana is a shining light to the country to show that pro-life can be a united stance. It's not like in D.C. where it's very divided, Republican, Democrat. We want to show the rest of the country that we can come together, and what we should do is protect our unborn children, protect life, and support mothers and help them as well.
And the bottom line is, Louisianians cannot protect unborn children, human beings, persons who live outside of the boundaries of our state.
Right.
But we can protect the babies within the boundaries of Louisiana, and that's
we should be able to, but right now the U.S. Supreme Court prevents us from doing that.
We don't have that power right now.
They've taken that power out of our hands.
And this
we want to make sure that state judges can't do that as well, because that judicial activism that you talked about with Congressman Graves, that's happening now on a state level in many places, just like in Kansas and New York and other places, and we can't let that happen. That's what this amendment does. It puts that protection right in place in our Constitution and ensures that state judges couldn't take the power to protect individual citizens in Louisiana, unborn children, take that power out of our legislators' hands.
And as I understand it, New York is not the only one. 13 other states have taken this action where they're saying abortion is the law of our state, period.
Yeah, and as our federal judiciary becomes more conservative, and we've seen that happening with President Trump's nominees on the appellate district and Supreme Court.
Correct.
The abortion advocates are going to be seeking more and more to go to state courts and get your state Supreme Courts, because people haven't been as cognizant as to how a state judge should stand on these issues. So we know that abortion advocates looking for abortion on demand are pushing that more and more in our state courts, and that's why amendments like these are important. West Virginia passed this 2 years ago. Alabama passed this 2 years ago. Tennessee about 10 years ago passed something similar, and we're another state that's adding it.
It would make a total, so 13 have said we want abortion in our state, we're making it our law, and as I understand it, if we vote for it,
just being a group of judges, right?
You're right.
That's the difference. In
They
Kansas,
forced it down the throat of their
Absolutely.
people,
That's
their citizens. And we would be the 6th state that says not going to happen here.
That's right.
Judges,
That's right.
you're not going to decide. We will decide this issue.
Only if we pass Amendment 1.
Right.
And that's what we got to do. And this is a statement of our state, what we believe in, who we are as a state, that judges can't usurp the power of our legislators to protect life.
So let's make it very clear, though, that if this doesn't outlaw abortion in the United States, as we just stated, 13 states have made it absolutely, it's going to happen. This is just saying if you want an abortion, you're not going to do it in our state.
Well, even right now with this amendment, voting on right now, it does not ban abortion.
I'm assuming this Roe changes.
So let's say Roe doesn't change. Well, all this amendment, it's actually really
right now it's powerless, right?
People, in a sense, but right now it makes sure that even laws on the books can't be changed. Like we have in the state of Louisiana informed consent laws where women get information about their pregnancy before an abortion, or parental consent, or ultrasound laws requiring women to be having the opportunity to see their own ultrasound. Well, in other states, those laws have been struck down by state courts. We want to make sure even if Roe v. Wade's never overturned, that can't happen.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Ben Clapper, the Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. Very pleased to have back on the show Ben Clapper. He's Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life. Let's dive back in, Ben.
All right, absolutely.
All right, so let's give a historical context to this.
Sure.
That was a whole lot of information in
Right.
about 8 minutes.
Sure.
So let's kind of go back now and start from Roe v. Wade. Talk about the existence of abortion in America prior to Roe v. Wade, and then the situation and the issue of abortion after it.
Well, so let's go back to 1960. In Louisiana, in America, every state, abortion was not allowed in the early 60s. In the late 60s...
Say that again. I don't think most people
Yeah,
know that.
every state, unborn babies were protected. Their lives were protected. Abortion was not legal in America.
They were deemed a person under the Constitution entitled to life,
Like the 14th,
liberty, and
that's right. The 14th
pursuit of
Amendment
happiness.
that establishes that right of personhood was extended to unborn children.
That word's in the Constitution.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Person.
Persons, and that should be included. Every human being should be included under that, from conception to natural death.
And science and everything else has proven.
That's right. The pro-life cause, our belief is pretty fundamental to humanity, right? That every human, you have the DNA of humanity, right? You're a human person, you should be granted the equal rights under the law, and that you shouldn't be able to be destroyed of no choice of your own before you're even born. That's our stance. That's our belief.
And I know this is going to come up, so address it. What about the sad cases of rape and incest?
Rape and incest are so terrible, right? The people that perpetrate those things, they should be convicted at a higher rate than they're currently convicted today. But that unborn child did nothing to deserve their own death in that moment of time, right? We're compassionate and we want to help those victims of rape and incest, but that unborn child still has the opportunity and the ability to live a good life themselves. I know victims or children who are the result of rape and incest, and they have the same value as you and I do.
This makes me think of Tim Tebow and
Absolutely.
so many others
That's
that show the value of every single human being.
That's right. No matter their circumstances, they deserve a shot just like you and I do.
So
we go back to the 60s, right? That's where we were. In the late 60s, a few states, state of Washington, state of New York, places like that, began to allow abortion either for these instances of rape and incest or maybe in the very early first trimester. But it was only a few states. So come 1973, there's only a handful of states that are allowing any abortions. And Roe v. Wade, on one day, January 22nd, 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court decided that in all 50 states, in all 9 months of pregnancy, for virtually any reason, or sadly no reason at all, abortion was legalized. So January 21st, abortion was illegal in Louisiana. January 23rd, it was legal in Louisiana. So just like that, the whole country was changed, and what grew up out of that was an abortion industry where you had standalone facilities that do nothing else but sell abortions. And you saw in 3 years the rate of abortion just skyrocket in America to over 1 million unborn children.
and as I understand, is it 60 million?
Over 60 million since 1973 in America have lost their lives to abortion.
It's just such a tragedy. And even worse is that if you look at the population of America that would exist, those folks that are in the black community or other communities, sadly, the black community is the one that has been tragically affected the worst.
Right. Yeah, our Black Advocates for Life director, Dr. Hattie Allen, she talks about how even though abortion, African Americans make up about 30% of the state of Louisiana, 60% of all the abortions are in the African American community in Louisiana. And we have great leaders like State Senator Katrina Jackson, African American pro-life Democrat, who's calling this message out in the state of Louisiana. Every life matters, every child matters, no matter where they're from or their racial background, and we want to protect every single one of those children.
Amen. So let's continue with the history. So
Yeah.
Roe v. Wade hits, unlimited abortion, and you hear everybody talk about the third trimester and all that. Truth is, it's up through birth
Yeah,
now.
that's what happens when the Supreme Court tries to write a law. There was no guidelines. There was no instruction for a state legislature. And the state courts and federal courts started striking down state laws that were trying to figure out how to legislate under this new situation, right? Which goes back to that fundamental rule of civics, and you learned that the court is not meant to make a law, the legislator is. And that's the problem, the fundamental problem with Roe v. Wade from a civics perspective, is it just broke down that balance between the three branches of government. And so since 1973, we've had this where the state and Congress is trying to make laws, and the Supreme Court seems to every year have a change in how they understand abortion jurisprudence. And so it's just kind of a guess sometimes when you're going up to the Supreme Court to understand what they are, how they stand, and what regulations they do and allow. Take 1992. State of Pennsylvania decides to put informed consent laws and also to allow the spouse of a woman who's having an abortion to be able to consent, right? But the Supreme Court strikes that down in 1992 in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. And so it's been like that ever since, and what we have is thousands of abortions every year.
What we have is 5 people wearing robes that aren't elected. They're there for life, telling 330 people what is and what isn't. They're like the president and the House and the Congress and the court all in one.
That's right.
5 people.
That's right.
It's just not the way America was meant and should be run. So now, talk about all the wonderful, because you're talking about the certain type of attempts by the states to monitor it or regulate abortion. Talk about what y'all have been able to accomplish here in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, one thing we have to do is we have to pass whatever laws that we can in the state to protect the health and safety of women, protect unborn children, because it's important to remember that the pro-life cause is pro-woman as well, that we know women are hurt by abortion.
Talk about that tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
People
so
don't
many
know.
women who we know who share stories with us about how they've been hurt by abortion. So we have to go to the legislature and make sure that we can pass laws that try to protect women's health and safety from an abortion industry that is looking to sell abortion, not necessarily to give women all their options, right? Remember, these abortion facilities in Louisiana are selling only abortion, right? It's not like you come in and they say, well, maybe you really shouldn't have this abortion, right? It would be like McDonald's saying, you should really go down the street to Burger King. You probably would fit better there, right? No, these abortion facilities are focused on selling abortion to the women that come in there. We as Louisianians want to make sure that these women are given good information about what is the unborn child's development at that stage of development. We've passed laws to require informed consent. Should women have the ability to see the ultrasound before their abortion? Abortion facilities don't want them to see that.
Of course not.
Do women need to know before an abortion about the fact that the father of the child has to pay child support if they decide to continue their child's to term?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that we've put in place to give women. And then the most recently, we in 2014 passed a law that said abortion facilities and their physicians have to have admitting privileges at a local hospital. And that was the subject of the Supreme Court case where our law unfortunately was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in this past summer. And that was a disappointing loss, but there was some good silver linings.
And we'll talk about that
decision.
on the next segment.
Sure.
The other thing is, these ladies are 5 times more likely to abuse alcohol and drugs, have drug abuse problems,
That's
and
right.
suicide. What is it, 3 times the rate?
It's a sad reality that post-abortion syndrome really hurts women. But remember, studies show that 54% of women who have abortions are forced by a man.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith, Legal Lines, Ben Clapper, Louisiana Right to Life. We'll be right back. I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. Very happy to have on the show Ben Clapper. He's the Executive Director of Louisiana Right to Life, and we're talking about abortion, and we're talking about an amendment that you can vote on, 11-3. Early voting's going on now, and you can do it for the next week or so. Ben, let's dive back in.
Sure.
Tell the folks quickly kind of the trauma that occurs to women from statistics and information
Sure.
gained over the last
Yeah, you know,
40 years.
So society wants to believe that abortion's a choice that liberates women, but in reality, abortion hurts women, affects them psychologically, physically, emotionally, and spiritually in a negative way. And we have women, we know women across this country that abuse alcohol, abuse drugs, have repeat abortions after their first abortions, and suicide rates go up. The sad thing is that there's men in these situations that are sometimes forcing women to have abortions.
Right.
So it's, we talk about the women, of course, because they're having the abortion, but men need to step up. They need to be the ones that are offering to support and help these women who they've gotten pregnant and stand by them, and oftentimes they're not doing that right now.
And the law will force them to at least help provide
That's
support.
right. That's right. And they need to be there and be men.
Amen. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Tell me, so we were talking about the law that honestly we thought, but for Justice Roberts, was
Right.
going to be stricken. So tell the folks what we're talking about.
Yeah,
and
so
it was a Louisiana case.
This was our law, 2014 Unsafe Abortion Protection Act in Louisiana, that required abortion doctors to have privileges at a local hospital, just like every outpatient doctor in Louisiana has to have privileges. It should have extended to abortionists, to physicians doing abortions as well. Unfortunately, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down our law. Justice Roberts wrote the opinion. It was an unfortunate decision. Now, hindsight, there have been some good parts about Justice Roberts' decision. They're kind of complicated legally, but
Just tell us the good parts.
Yeah,
because it sure seems bad.
That's right, it does. The silver lining to it is that Justice Roberts put the abortion jurisprudence back in the 1992 position that allowed states to pass some laws rather than the 26 strong pro-abortion decision that struck down a similar Texas law. So enough being said that there were some good things about Justice Roberts' decisions, even though he still struck down our law. So don't get me wrong, we don't like that he struck down our law,
right.
But there were some good parts about it. But it shows that the federal Supreme Court is really going in a direction that's positive for a state like Louisiana.
It feels like they're changing direction, although
Slowly.
very, very slow.
Slowly. But now we have potentially, should be, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a Louisiana native
Amen.
from Metairie, who has shown so much skill and poise, and we're so excited about her being on the Supreme Court.
And a giant intellect.
That's right, and
I mean,
the
it's
potential
impressive.
for her to send this case back to the states. And that's what Roe v. Wade's happened, is the judges took the question out of the legislators' hands.
Removed it from the people in every daggum state.
Absolutely.
Said, we 5 people going to tell you what you can and cannot do,
Yeah.
period.
And I think people need to remember that. Roe v. Wade being overturned doesn't ban abortion in America.
No.
It just sends it back to the state and says, guess what? You can now pass a law about this just like you pass a law about millions of other things. This should be in the people's realm as well, not just in 9 judges in Washington, D.C.
So again, tell folks, bottom line is this is almost a conditional amendment. If the United States Supreme Court reverses Roe v. Wade and says we're not going to require every state in our union, in the United States of America, to allow abortion, it allows individual states to decide what they're going to do with abortion.
Right.
And if the U.S. Supreme Court reverses Roe, this amendment becomes effective?
Well, this amendment already will be effective. Now, our 2006 law that says when Roe v. Wade's overturned.
It's the trigger.
We call it the trigger law. When Roe v. Wade's overturned, unborn children will be protected from abortion in Louisiana. Abortion won't be allowed in the state. That will go into effect. This amendment will prevent a state judge from throwing that law out.
Got it.
And so those two things together will build a future in Louisiana without abortion. And that's what we need to do. We need to provide every Louisiana citizen the fundamental right to life, and that includes children that happen to be in the womb.
We said it, but there are 2 victims in this whole sad situation. It is the mother and the child.
That's right.
And all attempts to regulate it are to protect both.
That's right. We love both. We want
Yes.
to protect both.
So explain to folks kind of what Louisiana Right to Life does
Sure.
and how they can help, whether it's in support of this amendment, other than just voting, what else they can do. What do y'all do?
Louisiana Right to Life has been around since 1970, and obviously we do the legal policy side of the things that I come and talk to you about, but we also do the educational work. We also do the work to talk to people about what's the development of the unborn child, right? What is abortion? What's the truth about it? And then we support our pregnancy help centers that are offering real-time help to mothers around this state. We have over 40 pregnancy help centers in Louisiana that are offering
Wow.
support to moms before and after birth. Sometimes up
Diapers,
to
from diapers to fluids and all the
formula, everything. We just got back from Lake Charles giving out diapers and formula to the victims of Hurricane Laura. So it's about doing the policy work, but also the grassroots work to provide assistance and help. People say, oh, well, the pro-life movement is just pro-birth. You know, you hear that. They haven't seen the pro-life movement in action. We're here helping women, and we've seen abortion decrease in Louisiana from a height of almost 20,000 abortions in the 80s to now about 8,000 abortions a year in Louisiana. Now, we believe that's 8,000 too many.
Of course.
But we want to protect
It
those lives.
it screams
That's
success.
right. So people can join us. Our main website is prolifelouisiana.org. For this amendment, of course, we need everyone to vote yes on one, and they can go to lovelifevoteyes.com to learn about the amendment, share about it. They can support us, give a donation to help us pass this amendment, help our work. They can volunteer with us, sign wave, tell their friends and family, go on social media. There's
Which
so
is where
much
you're
you can
headed,
do. That's
side
right.
wave after this, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, quickly, do y'all help mothers obtain child support from the fathers of their children?
Well, the state does that. You know,
right,
the
but I
state's
mean,
saying-
do y'all have access to
pregnancy-
means to show them,
Yeah, our
hey, this
pregnancy
is who you
centers,
need to call and all
our
of that?
pregnancy centers equip women with everything that they need.
So tell folks what those pregnancy centers
pregnancy
do real quick.
centers
We just
in
got a
every
couple minutes.
community of the state is there to help women with counseling, ultrasounds, pregnancy tests, but also, and then signing up for Medicaid, any system that they need, the WIC system to help them. And it's helping them walk through the birth process, find a doctor, and then also helping them after birth as well, parenting skills, diapers, supplies, everything like that. And they're the one-on-one base that's connecting them with all those services and support that they need for things like that.
And y'all participate in all segments of society. It sounds like from grade school, if you can get in, all the way through the legislature.
Absolutely, right. And then we want to protect people in their older years from euthanasia and assisted suicide. We believe that's a pro-life issue as well. It's important to us. We want to prevent the rationing of health care. And that's why when there's discussions about healthcare policy federally, we want to make sure that there's no rationing of healthcare.
Right.
We want people to be able to save their own lives, and the government can't say, well, you have a low quality of life, therefore you can't help your own
Death
life.
panels, in essence. Quickly
right.
tell folks again the name of the amendment, how they can support it,
Sure.
where to go on the website, et cetera. Phone numbers.
LoveLifeVoteYes.com. This is Amendment 1 on our Constitution. We're Louisiana Right to Life. Just Google Louisiana Right to Life. You can find our website. Support us, but remember, vote yes on 1, November 3rd, and
Excellent.
early voting up until October 27th.
Fantastic. Locke Meredith with Ben Clapper, the Executive Director of Louisiana Life. Please vote to support this amendment. Vote yes.